Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q1 2025 Skibdis Circuit Kits, and to our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen and Casey Madden. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Happy New Year, and welcome back to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours, featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
Am I a lion or a dog or a lion-dog man? We'll never know.
And Mike Rance.
Paul, no matter what you are, I think you're a pretty cool cat.
Hey, look at that.
Woof.
Well, we are here. We're so glad you all are here. We want to just give a few pieces of kind of housekeeping as we get started. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel or torturing me with gloves, you can click that join button down below or the super chat button to try to start the goal here of if we get 5 super chats, you can force me to wear the gloves for the rest of the podcast. It is torture. They are uncomfortable. Also, you can check the link in the description to get your kits for the Skibdis playmat that is closing on January 17th. So you have just over a week to be able to get your store to pick those up. It is the last circuit kit before the Force of Will Festival and GP in June, so you'll want to be sure to pick that up. And speaking of that, you can actually buy your tickets for Force of Will Festival and GP right hugging now. There is a link in the description below to go pre-order your 3 kits. Your tickets there. There are 3 ticket levels. There is a base level, a silver level, and a high tier level. The high tier level is already sold 21 of the 48 options like tickets for that. There's only 48 high tier tickets available, and there's 80 mid tier tickets, and then unlimited base tier entry. If we break 70 players, first place's invite becomes a paid invite to Worlds, so you certainly want to go check that out. Thank you, RR's Orb, for becoming a member here on the channel. Appreciate your support. Doesn't code. I'll count it towards putting on the gloves, I guess. So we get 5 members or 5 super chats or a combination, and I'll put on gloves and be tortured for the rest of the hour. So tonight we don't really have a ton to talk about. No super big news. We're waiting on spoilers to start for Fates Reunited. We did see the most recent promos, but we'll talk about those when spoilers come up. Really, essentially. So we just kind of want to open it up to the audience to have kind of a mailbag episode as we get started. We did get a few questions submitted, but if you have anything in the chat that you want to ask us, please let us know. It can be for me, Paul, or Mike, or all 3 of us, or whatever. Looking forward to kind of seeing what you have to throw at us. So, guys, with that, you want to jump into our questions?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Our first one is from our good friend Taylor, the Aristella simp, also our artist for the Force of Will, the mats for FowFest this year.
Thanks, Taylor. Yeah.
Asking, I'd be curious if you guys had Lapis Cluster rulers you were excited to see support for in MP02, especially for rulers that might not be in the top of everyone's mind, like Yogg or something. So I'll toss that over to Mike first. Mike, do you have a Lapis Cluster ruler that you're like most excited about?
It's always Seijiro Mikage. Mikage is the chattest ruler of all time. Just like the simplest thing on his front side, just ping something, get a blood counter. Oops, you have damaged things. I get more stuff. Flip over, you're playing boss music. Why am I hearing boss music? It's me. I'm playing the boss music.
Yeah. That deck was so good that we were so convinced that it was the best deck of the format for Worlds that year, but it was so good, too good, in fact, that it became, if you played against another Mikage Seijiro, it was forced to a draw because that ruler was too good in the format. Literally, all of us started on Mikage in our testing, realized that it could beat pretty much everything else, then realized that it couldn't ever beat a fellow Mikage player, and then all bailed. Like, that was our testing for that year's Worlds. It was crazy. Yeah, Mikage would be a good one for sure. Paul, how about you?
Well, thanks for taking my answer, Mike.
I picked the basest ruler of all time. Like,
I mean,
come on.
He's the only Lapis ruler besides the obvious ones that like everyone just really loves that I've kept just like around, right? So Mikage is really good for that. I'm really interested to see what they do with Priscia.
Reincarnated Priscia.
Yeah, because I think when this card was initially made, it was like the stuff is really good for right now, but most of that support is just too slow for the modern game, or just too non-impactful too.
I mean, even in the
So
era that was she was there, it was like, why even do the stuff that was in her kit when we had Lave? Like
Yeah,
we had
because
Levitate,
like
so you just like ignored her whole kit.
you have to play to resonance. Like I, to be fair, I if we get more resonance stuff, resonance is one of the coolest triggers of all time and one of my favorite mechanics in all of Force of Will. So like I wouldn't be upset for just general resonance support that just
Hmm.
happens to be in her kit, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Jeremy, why is it Fox?
It's not actually. It's not Fox. I'm. Don't get me wrong. I love Fox, and I'm gonna build Fox for the channel. Like I'm excited to try to build Fox again. Like I am excited, but I think the ruler that I am honestly like really excited. I think when I think about this question, I think about what ruler do I want to revisit that isn't top of mind and therefore isn't just like the obvious pick of like what I'm going to build. Like clearly I'm going to build Fox the second he comes out, right? But
Yeah.
I think the other ruler from Lapis Cluster that I would really love to explore and see how it's made different and better is Val 3, actually.
Ooh, good pick.
Blue Black Valentina in an era where our blue and black chants have gotten insanely good over the span of multiple years, right? You think of things like Mirror, you think of things um, high speed uppercut treatment. You think of things like all of these other things that could like play into Val's like support for chance pretty heavily in such a really cool way. You think about, obviously Blue Black has access to great wizard cards, being things like, Arlequin and stuff like that. Like the idea of her being able to control both board state and hand state with all the new tools that Blue Black has got, and be also defensive with over the new tools that Blue Black has gotten over the years, is like really exciting to me. I also think something like the Crossing Point XR, like with her being able to like play 50 chance, she's a spell slinging deck. She wants to be playing chance, right? So let's play into that too. I think Blue Black Val 3 is something that I'm really interested in revisiting and seeing what the new support is for her.
Nice.
Glorious and Sun Wukong support, RR's Orb.
Also, Gil Lapis. It would be nice if that ruler worked.
Red Black?
Yeah.
Red Black and
Yeah,
Lapis? I mean, he's
Red
very
Black
clearly
Collapse is fun.
he's very clearly going to be able to tag with Giotto, which I think in general is insane. Like the fact that he will be able, like, probably going to somehow give him tag Conqueror or something, so that he'll be able to tag with her, which I think is kind of nuts. Could you consider like a deck that is entirely just like your RFG is mine now, and your deck has been going to your RFG consistently? Like that will just make that ruler feel a lot better, and a lot more fun. People saying more the 7 luminaries, right? Mars and Mercurius and Sol, like that would be, yeah, for sure. Those are obvious ones that are going to be cool. Alhamon, I think, is going to be cool. There's a reason why we haven't done any of the Fate rulers on the channel quite yet. It's because like there is a moment where it's like, do we want to put a ruler on the channel right now for Fate that the only support they got was a Fate card, or should we wait to revisit them until they actually get their full suite out of support? Like it's good for us to
It
be
would
doing like
be.
research
I mean,
on them right now. Like we're doing some like preliminary testing and like deck building and kind of theory crafting around them, but because we don't have their full new support suite, it's like I don't really know if this is like worthy of a full feature match yet. I'd rather revisit them when we have the full suite.
I'd be interested to see what the evolution of the deck builds would be with kind of like the midway point right
Mm-hmm.
now versus how it's going to be once MPO2 comes out, because that would be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
I will say Zero got one card and it changed everything
Yeah.
for her.
It's
She's
really good.
significantly more powerful.
Apple is pretty damn good. Some of the Fate rulers will likely get supported MP02. Yep, for sure. Get Fairer again. Yeah, Fairer would be very interesting to see again. Like, there's so many in Lapis Cluster that are super fun.
Well, Fair's actually Ray Cluster.
Oh,
so
Vera is Ray Cluster.
knock that
That's true.
down.
We gotta wait there. We gotta wait there. But Elf Ball,
Mm-hmm.
Elf Ball, yeah. which is not a ball deck. It's just elf.
Sorry, I had PTSD flashbacks. The time that my brain actually broke. There's a lot of fun stuff. The force stuff and more stuff for limit, right? Because we got Lunya, right? So there's some more stuff there. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff in Lapis Cluster that can be really, really well explained. Curious to see what else they give to Glorious when we hopefully get broken mask banned and it gets replaced with an unbroken mask. Like, that's a card that's not universally kind of annoying to consider in the meta. That kind of stuff. There's just so much room to explore in Lapis, especially like Will of Hope, Will of Despair. That's a mechanic that I'm like, what are they gonna do with that in MP02? Like, what do we do there?
It's just an extension rule that says ignore Will of Hope and Will of Despair when deck building, so you can just build.
But like think about like Will of Hope, Will of Despair was these really cool reimagining of characters that were like famous in the game, right? So then like it becomes a matter of like, well, what other characters suddenly get a Will of Hope, Will of Despair variant? What does that look like? Like, that's exciting. That for me is really cool, like from an art perspective of like reimagining of those characters. So like
we should get future Will of Hope and Will of Despair.
Like,
the time break. Anything can happen in the time break.
Yeah, Dark Book, Light Book, Flute, Big Gill, Adelbert. Let's talk about Adelbert. I'm so excited to see Adelbert.
Oh, Adelbert's a chat ruler.
Yeah. Like, this ruler is so, like, there's so much cool stuff that's coming out here that I'm really, really excited. It's gonna be really exciting.
Talk about a good ABC ruler. Flute is so good.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Flute was so good. Insane. Flute was one of the first. Yeah, Flute was one of the first banned combination rulers back in Epic Stories' early days too.
Yeah, for sure. Because it was just like, why would we let you just start the game with 2 draws per turn? Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you could pair it with Reflect Frame too.
And then you're like seeing 3 cards a turn as a singleton format. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So next question for me was from our good friend Moon Sage, who says, what do we expect of the Devil Cluster? Characters, lore, mechanics, etc. Mechanics, I don't know. I'm pretty
I simply hope that they continue with J Ruler's focus formats.
That's
any alternative.
Yeah, I think flips. I would love to see I honestly kind of would love to see another Transcend ruler. If that's strangely enough, that's Leica's mechanic, right? The idea of like J ruler centric, but like through this like transformational piece. I would love to see a different Transcend ruler. I think that would be cool. But like I agree that I would love Devil Cluster to start with. I want us to stay on this trend of like solo ruler, judgment, like old, like feels like foul, like classic, like no more J ruler experimentation. Like, we have a ruler that flips. Like, that's the experiment, right? I think we've had our kind of experiential Rumspringa that is trying other things other than the classic traditional things, and I think it's fine to go back to those traditional things. So I'm the same way there. Lore wise, I think for the glory of the gloves, that's 2. We got a member, and we got 3 more to put 1 more gloves. Thanks for the glory of the gloves. Thank you, Holscheiser. I think lore wise, I'd love to see Devil Cluster be like revisiting what happens to the realm where Dante took over, like where Dante like overthrew Satan, and he like stole his power and took it to the game of gods, but like we don't really know what the aftermath was of that. Like that would be really cool if that's where we're going, to see like what happens to that world once Dante like actually overthrew and came back and like started reshaping that world for something different. Stranger Jank, thank you. Welcome to Alumni. We'll count that as 2 because that's a $5 a month membership. 1 more to go until I get those gloves back on. And we're really early in the night, so my hands are going to be in pain.
Cause Jeremy Payne. Cause Jeremy Payne.
So, Hi, Glorian fan. Good
Hello.
to have you here. Long time since you've been joining us in the chat. We're glad to have you back. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, I think like lore wise, that's where I hope it goes, because then that to me opens us up to being able to like see more of the seven deadly sins, like what happened, like more Belial support, more Carlina support, like kind of
oh,
that kind of stuff. Like it comfortably kind of takes us back into a world where we can see those guys support kind of start eke into those like splash areas of the set, the like more generic, more splashed support for older rulers kind of stuff. Um,
Jeremy,
and
question for you.
yeah, go for it.
Is there a lore reason that the seven deadly sins were partnered with each other, like tagged together, or was it just
I don't
mechanics?
think we I don't think we got any kind of lore. I think it was just like very similarly to how the six sages all worked together, the seven deadly sins under the like direction of Stan worked together. I think it was just to provide a like evil counterpoint to the tag of the good guys. So then it was like the good guys get tagged, so we'll do a set of the bad guys get tagged too. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it'd be very interesting to have it revisited with single rulers for each of the sins and like thematically unique mechanics for them
Yeah,
that aren't just like bleeding
Carlita. Yeah,
together.
and there it is. Okay.
Get the
Gloves,
glove.
There we go. The goal has
gloves.
been met. Here we go.
Boom. Here we go. Well, what's so interesting about the demonic realm is that there were very clear allusions to Inferno in that. Literally giving us a card also named,
There you go.
also giving us a card named Inferno, which super great. They gave us Girion, which is a really deep cut to that story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see some Malabranca stuff. I'd like to see some like
Ooh.
um you could do some really cool things with Cositus at the bottom of hell
Mm-hmm.
where like
Yeah.
Satan is imprisoned. There's some cool stuff you can do. There's a lot of cool imagery in that story.
Yeah,
So
the demonic worlds
um
the demonic worlds just didn't get explored too much. We kind of showed up, beat Stan, and then went to the Game of Gods. Like that was kind of it. um,
there's a
and
lot of world building in that
lot
set.
of yeah,
Which
lot of world building that's kind of left on the table.
and then
So
and then we can get and then we can sit across from somebody saying fun Italian names like Scarmiglione
yeah,
and Cagazzo.
yeah, there you go.
Um would also we need to talk about if Wolfgang has
That's
any sort
true.
of role
That's true.
in
Wolfgang
this
too.
because we don't
Wolfgang
know
was
what happened to him, right?
we do know that he like with his reincarnation form was kind of like coming back to try to reclaim and reshape the demonic world, right? So Devil Cluster could be like maybe it comes back to like the showdown between Wolfgang and Dante to see who kind of takes control, or maybe it's Dante and Wolfgang kind of working together, right? To like try to reclaim it and reshape it back to what it once was. Because we do know that at one point in time, the demonic world was like flourishing into a positive place, and then Stan took over. So like that could be an interesting space to explore too. There's a lot of lore to be driven in there. So
And
that's
they might just
fine.
ignore it completely and go a completely different direction too. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
This is
Um,
speculation.
I was spending time translating, or at least trying to trying Japanese lore story and flavor text. Some stuff I read is entirely different. That's fair. Um, so next question from Glorian fanboy. Speaking of, um, is if you could hang out with one character, who, why, and what would you do? So one character from the lore of Force of Will.
Hmm.
Who and
There's so many
why?
freaking characters.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
Valentina, for the reasons you are absolutely thinking.
I knew you were going to
Next.
say that. Okay.
Are you also just a really big fan of like 2-cost water resonators?
Not that
Is
Valentina.
that what you want to
Not
hang
that
out with?
Valentina.
I'm a huge fan of 1-Inch Boy. Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious.
Uh,
Um,
the playmat.
I mean,
The playmat.
I mean,
Can't
there's
stop
some.
thinking about the playmat.
I think for me, it's like I think it comes
Can we,
down
can,
to.
can we time out the Chrono Mage real quick for the wrong take there?
No,
Athena
we're not
is
going
hotter
to.
than Val. No, you should.
Um,
Anyway.
I mean, I don't think I would hang out with. Honestly, if there's one character that I'd hang out with, I would love to hang out with like reincarnated Gil. green black Gil's like, or sorry,
that
Gil Lapis, Kid Lapis, like Gil and Rhea's kid, because like he appears in like 1.5 chapters of the story, and like I don't know, just the character of Gil Lapis is pretty cool, and then we just like don't see him again. And so there's something to be like, he would be cool to hang out with. I don't know, just catch a vibe. I obviously, and lore wise, I don't want to hang out with Lilia's Petal because I don't want to die. Because anyone who gets near Lilia's Petal dies. Because Curse of the Kyuubi, and I'd rather not die. Grim feels like a cop out answer. Same with Alice, feels like a cop out answer. Bianchi, I don't really want to go hang out in the wastelands.
Oh,
Sorry,
you don't like pollution?
I don't like pollution. Well, I guess I could also say, in the same vein of like a character who would love to be kind of like understand them more. I think I would also like to hang out with young Welser, like Green Ruler Welser, like when he's like actually the head mage of the academy, but he's not old yet.
Wait, what? Hang on, we're thinking about this all wrong. Brad is literally the immortal sage. He can do like all the jackass stunts, jump off of buildings. He'll be fine, dude. Like you could just do it for the bit.
Yes.
It's great.
Want to watch me impale myself? Watch.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let's do it again.
Oh gosh.
Okay, help me get down.
Glorian fan, despite my name, I picked Charlotte. What is wrong? Why are you Glorian fan?
Because he's a fan of the Glorian, like the city of Gloria, like all of them come from. That's where
I see.
That's where the name
Mars and
originated from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte's from Gloria as well. Paul, what about you?
I'm going back and forth between 3 different characters right now. Machine Arthur.
Okay.
Faria.
Where in her timeline? Sorry, where in her timeline?
Like early Faria.
So like
just like following her story.
So like first king. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Or Machina.
Machina, yeah.
BF
those
Machina,
3,
right?
I don't know, like that whole like Knights of the Round Table feel, plus like, hey, we're gonna augment ourselves. Oh, hey, we're like super genius. Like that whole flavor like really captured me.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, we should talk about non-rulers to hang out with too.
I mean, that's what I was with Kid Lapis. Kid Lapis didn't get a ruler.
Why is it not just Kiki? It's just Kiki.
I mean,
It's just
obviously.
Kiki. It's literally just Kiki.
Follow-up question. Brent asks us, what's the worst character to hang out with? I mean, it's just Blazer.
Lilia's Petal.
It's just Blazer. It's just Blazer. Like there's no like it's just Blazer. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's the end of the conversation.
Probably also T2, because you literally can't live in his sea of metal.
That's true. It does not feel like he would be a good hang.
Don't want to know what that goo do in his free time.
You will get T2'd by hanging out with T2.
Yeah, for sure. That's very fair. Brad also, I know that you said like he would be like the jackass guy, but I also feel like Brad would be an absolute downer. Like, because nothing is a new experience to him, so he doesn't want to do anything, and he just provides no reaction to anything. Like, I just feel like he would be an absolute downer. So like that's my 3: Brad, T2, and Blazer. Like, absolutely get out of here.
Probably unsealed Nyarlathotep, just tentacles, not cool. No personality, just wigglies.
I mean, listen, if you stare into Nyarlathotep's lack of face for long enough, you just go mad. And honestly, I could use a good lobotomy right now.
Yeah.
The world's kind of shit.
Too real.
Luchacool asked us if you could make one mechanic in the game disappear, be it a keyword or otherly regularly recurring effect, what would it be? You could make one keyword disappear, what would it be?
I would delete a keyword. Specifically a keyword, right?
It said keyword or mechanic.
Order.
The order mechanic. Okay.
Order. Just that whole set just piles of text. Half of them don't matter if you're not playing order rulers. And I don't want to be playing order rulers because I don't care what the things in my deck. I want to flip my ruler and feel like I've just
Sure.
gone into boss mode instead of
Sure.
just being
Sure.
like, oh, I guess this time I'll play this one drop that can flip over now. Oh,
Fair enough. Paul, what about you?
Oh man. Mobilize golems.
Yep. There it is.
but it's not doing anything to you.
Yeah, it was designed horribly. Just replace it with
Well,
the.
it's not
just
doing anything to me, but it's also not doing anything for
me. Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Bye.
I think for me, I'll put it into two parts. I think if I was to delete a keyword entirely, man, there's been so many. I'm just trying to think of all the mechanics in the entire game. I think I'd probably delete solarization.
Yeah,
I probably would
that's a
just
pretty
I
good
probably
one.
would just get rid of it. I think it introduced more chaos than good to the environment. I mean, it was an interesting concept, but I think it created kind of a weird arms race. So I think
Wait, I need to change my answer.
I delete solarization. I think I would modify. There's two that I would modify. I'd modify weather so that they stack. Instead of you can only ever have one weather at a time. It was one of the inherent weaknesses of Shayla that if it was raining, it wasn't thunderstorming. I would just love for weather to be able to stack. Which I think that would be fine. And I would also change untouchable to just that the thing can't be canceled.
Yes.
I would let and I would even say like I would let untouchable carry through to like a resonator with untouchable can't be canceled and neither can its abilities, right? Like it carries that keyword through to like have that element to it. But the fact that you can't use like memory of worlds or Fiola or like things that just remove it from the chase or shift it somewhere different, I just like I would just change that part about untouchable to let it be. So that's my piece.
I realized I should probably change my answer to just in brackets the extra deck.
EX
There's
area.
never been a good. There's never
EX areas.
ever been
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
in general.
No,
anything extra.
I like ethereals and I really like ninjas.
Okay.
I think the EX deck
Okay.
is cool.
Those that's fine.
Oh, you're
That
talking
EX
about like
deck,
you're talking
fine.
about. Okay.
Like things that start the game in an extra zone or in an extra deck.
That's fair. That's fair. So
So
like
get a rune area.
but like so you'd be like rune area, grimoire, stranger mechanic.
Yep.
Those would get
Because
yeeted.
I think the EX area is actually I'm gonna go on a little mini tirade here. I think the EX zone was the proper way to do an extra deck just because what you can do is kind of build it as you go along instead of having from the start.
Yeah.
It
was an
better design.
It was an expansion of the standby area, right?
Yeah.
So like yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I can see that for sure. You asked me this before the CR changed Union 7 untouchable just changed that we have to work for it. Just change it that we have to work for it to get that powerful effect. Yeah, I mean I think again, even just having a keyword that says this thing can't be canceled, I'm like that's fine to me. Like you could make untouchable just this thing can't be canceled. Like and that would be okay, right? Like you want to trim down on card text. I just think it's and like again, this card or its abilities can't be canceled. Like sure, fine. No worries. You got it. Like I think that's fine. But it's the fact that like the things can't be targeted at all while they're on the chase is just like oof, is rough.
Yeah,
I think it's just kind of given more oomph than previously thought. But good question.
We hate interaction.
No, I like it. I like interaction.
No, exactly. That's
right.
That's the thing. We hate interaction.
Sure.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Another
delete Union 7. I'm glad they're never doing that again.
Another question from Glory and Fanboy is if you could change a ruler to another character, example changing Valentina 3.0 from Lapis Cluster to say Kaguya, who and why? I don't really. I mean, Glorian fan, you're in the chat. I don't super understand that question. Like a what if
Like
scenario.
if the mechanics of a ruler didn't really fit that ruler and could be put onto another one that could make more sense, I
Oh,
guess.
sure. I guess I could go that route. Um, I think there's this weird spot. Honestly, I'll go from the newest set. Um, like I don't I don't think Tree Boy's mechanic fits the concept of Tree Boys.
Yeah.
Like strangely enough, like I weirdly think that I would take it. Like I get the initial concept of them with like the leaves of the malefic tree like being something that protects them. I honestly think that I would have rather taken a form of dark trees mechanic, not to the aggrandizing self deck out position, but to that like summoning the spirits of the like corrupted souls, or like summoning the spirits of the past kind of like corruption element that Dark Tree had, and given that to the Tree Boys as opposed to Overgrowth. I don't really think that Overgrowth necessarily super fit them well. And it kind of like plays into more of a generic of ruler than anything else. So I think they could have been done a little bit differently, more homage to Dark Tree without being um, toxic like Dark Tree has been, right? So that would be kind of how I would twist it. I think everything else I'd pretty much keep. I don't think there's any other ruler that I would like drastically change their identity or change something to them. I think they all seem to fit pretty well. That's just one that comes to mind.
Huh.
I mean,
Yeah. So one of the examples that was given in the chat is like making a ruler for Volga instead of for Melkus, right?
Oh, sure.
Um, and I was like, okay, all right, I can get that. I can behind that. Um, I don't really have a character
I
that's
know
really
one.
standing out to me in that way. You have one?
Yeah, I want to see a Kid Lapis ruler. That I would like is the biggest
Oh,
miss
sure.
to me. I would love to see a Kid Lapis ruler just like randomly thrown into MP02. Like just throw I mean or to not MP02. It'd be MP03, the one for Rhea cluster. Um like Kid Lapis was such a like again, to really understand it, you had to like read the lore, but like the fact of like Rhea came back in time to try to become this force for serving as kind of a essentially like becomes the bad guy to help the good guys get stronger, and then kind of like then teams up with them to help them overcome the real big bad. But then the end of that story is that like Rhea is just super content to just leave. Like she is ready to just be like, I've done my job. I'm no longer immortal. I'm gonna fade off into I don't have the power to go anywhere. I've done my job. I'm gonna leave. And Gil is like, nope. I'm gonna come with you. Like that's a really cool relationship that builds in the lore, and then to find out that they have a kid and it's like good Gil Lapis, like that's also like a cool place for that story to go. And then we got him as a resonator, and we know that he's guarding Ataractia, like the reincarnations of Ataractia, but like then what? Like eventually that kid's gonna get stronger. Eventually he's probably gonna awaken as a wanderer, knowing his family, right? So like
Sure.
I that would have been a really cool character, I think, to see brought into being a ruler.
an interesting one I
So,
feel like kind of would have made sense at some point. This is going to be like a weird throwback, but
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, that one of the Cheshire Cat's big things is that it kind of like just fades out of existence and then
Sure.
just kind of comes back into existence.
mhm.
Why was Cheshire Cat not the one that would have something blink at the end of the turn instead of Lumia? Like, that feels
That's
very
fair.
Cheshire Cat.
That is fair.
Oh, that's smart.
That's a good one.
That's really smart.
Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I vibe with that. That would have been cool.
Mm. I think I'm going to answer this question a different way because I can't think of a good example. But
Sure.
one rulers that I really want to see that like we know this group exists, right? The whole like Scheherazade,
The Wanderer
Adelbert,
Brigade.
like that brigade that is like, hey, we're like watching over everything. I want to know more about that
Yeah.
because like there's like a world outside of worlds,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll like, okay, so we have green rulers, we have a red ruler, we have a kind of a light green ruler thing going on. What about the other avatars of will, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, right? Like what
Yeah.
about is there like a blue wanderer that's watching over things? Is there a darkness wanderer, right? I want to know more about these characters. I
Alejandro
also want to
giving us
yeah.
a hee hee in the chat.
Interesting, interesting.
Don't
Um,
believe him. It means nothing.
ha ha ha. I would also
Like
like to
some
see
power.
the luminaries actually made into rulers too,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
true.
have ancient magics and do some really interesting things with
Yeah,
those ancient magics. That'd be really cool.
because we got Mercury. We had Mercurius, Sol, and Mars, but we didn't see Venus. We didn't see Jupiter, and like all of those guys. They were resonators in that deck, but then they just kind of vanished. So that would have been really
Could have
cool.
we could have seen Uranus.
Not that one. Um, Lars. That's true.
Oh,
Lars
Lars!
has never been a ruler. That's true.
Ooh,
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Has
Yeah.
been like a bunch of different versions of resonators, but he's
Oh my god.
never made it up to ruler status.
Wait, imagine a Lars ruler whose entire gimmick was focused on swapping attack and defense.
That would be sick.
That would be so fucking
That'd be
cool.
sick.
Oh, and
oh,
you could do
like
it to your opponent's stuff.
actual. Oh, that's genius. Like we actually need
Yeah.
like a Lancelot, Mordred, and like all of that ruler. That'd be kind of cool.
Ah, yeah.
Be kind of
See,
dope.
I'm not sold on that one. I'm not
I
sold
would
on
like,
that
yeah,
one.
I would like a
I
Guinevere ruler
I
for
think
sure.
I think there's this piece of me that like characters that are heavily driven from other stories. I'm like, there's so many other cool characters that exist in the world of Force of Will that I would rather have be a ruler first. Right? Is that piece? Like I know, I mean, obviously Alice in Wonderland, like she was a ruler, so I can see like, oh, there was a ruler, Scheherazade from the Teller of 1001 Nights. Like, sure, it's a ruler, but like, so many of the rulers in this game are like characters that are unique to the world of FOW, and so for me, it would feel like a cop out to be like, well, let's make a Guinevere ruler. Okay, like there's so many other cool characters that we could do first, but sure. So I guess that's for me is like why I would like that doesn't spring to mind as something that I would want to see happen.
I've got it.
So you got it. You got it.
I've
Say
got,
your
I've
thing,
got
and then I'll say my thing.
a Martha Lipponen ruler.
Stop.
I think there's room in Force of Will to have rulers that are based on familiar Western characters,
Sure.
but then taking them in a completely different direction in a way that is like unique.
Sure.
So, I think that's the vibe in Grim Cluster that I really liked.
Sure.
That I don't think we've ever really seen that recur a whole lot.
I agree. I think the
There's been a
closest is
lot of OCs.
I think the closest is
Yeah.
kind of like New Valhalla cluster, kind of just because
That's
like
been the closest. Yeah.
is like because so much of New Valhalla cluster is like driven by the like old school tales of like different mythologies from different worlds. It's like so heavily inspired by that, right? So like that's I agree. We've never really gone back to it other than that.
Yeah, I really like that theming a
Yeah,
lot, and
that's fair.
Grim feels different as a result.
That's fair.
Because the whole theme was like stories from different points in Western history, and then
Yeah.
a little bit of Japanese stuff in there too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, hey, that's a cool theme, and I don't know, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that for sure. Little Maria. I could see that. Little Maria the robot becoming like finally becoming a ruler, like the legacy boost Little Maria. That would be cool. She'd be a cool character, I think, to see as a wanderer.
A what if cluster would be really cool. Not
I
gonna
would
lie.
say not a what if cluster, but I'd give it like a what if Vingolf. Or hear me out. Hear me out. And Alejandro, you're in the chat. What if the next ABC decks are the what ifs?
Ooh.
I don't mind that.
If you use the next ABC decks to introduce the like what if characters, right? That'd be a cool way to explore that. I think that'd be pretty
Golf
fun.
for. In general, just been golf for.
Yeah.
The only reason I say cluster is because it gives us an opportunity to shine the light on some like underutilized characters that have been more static.
Sure.
And it gives us a sense of like, well, why would these characters do these actions? And it would require like a real focus in on
Sure.
their motivations.
Arguably, MP02 is presumably actually kind of a what if set because it's like, what if Kaguya was successful in going back in time without being corrupted by the time spinning? At least if I'm understanding the lore correctly, that like MP02 is the like timeline that was created by somehow Kaguya successfully resetting the timeline without having to get corrupted. I think is the vibe. Alejandro's in the chat and will correct me if I'm reading that wrong, but that's what I felt like. Kind of curious what Wukong's been up to. That's true. He was in Adelbert's Wanderer Brigade and then just kind of like pieced out. It's interesting. I have the comic. I put it away because Wu Jia Wu has now replaced the comic on my table. But there are pages in the comic that's like Wukong kind of like showing up in the world and being like, time to go find out what's happening. And then like that's the end of it. You like never see him again. You're like, well, okay. That guy got an assignment from that guy got an assignment from Adelbert, went to the town where the assignment was, and then proceeded to F off. Like that was exactly what he did. You'll have to wait a little bit more for the answers of MP02. Okay, you keep your secrets, Alejandro. You keep your secrets. Need to re-release Adelbert. Have mana fixing on both sides. Maybe. I mean, stone bases are kind of cracked, so I don't really necessarily know if Adelbert needs mana fixing anymore. But you could probably do that, I'm sure. Which world of FOW would I like to see explored in the future? I mean,
which world of FOW?
New Ataractia is like hands down the reincarnated Ataractian world. Like I would love to see that space. I don't know. That timeline feels like we got to see them all living happily in their new reincarnated lives tangentially because then Faria got sent the books from Kaguya and Alice to go figure out stuff for Dual Cluster. But like we never actually got to see what happened in that world. So that would be a world that I would want to explore. It's the reincarnated world. The what if is more of a time break.
So the worlds we have are Re-Earth,
our planet.
Well, okay, like Earth.
Re-Earth is us. Yeah.
And then there's Grimm's world, which I think that is Re-Earth, right?
Mm-hmm. No. So sorry, Earth is our planet, and then Re-Earth is Grimm's planet.
Then we have Ataractia.
Valhalla.
The Demon Realm.
The new world of Hero Cluster, whatever that world is.
I think is just Re-Earth, but like in the future, right?
Maybe.
I think that's just Re-Earth, but in the future. Alejandro, confirm, please. So like for where I'm sitting,
Cocoon.
General.
Yeah, Cocoon is Hero Cluster world.
I feel like Cocoon has been really fleshed out. I'm kind of wanting to spend a little bit more time
Solaris.
in Trinities. So yeah, Solaris is another. Well, it's like a world within a world, right?
Well,
Do we mean like
Solaris is
world
like
or dimension?
so Solaris is like the world at the end of the worlds, right? It's like the like edge of the galaxy is the world of
Gotcha.
Solaris, a world without
It's
will.
all the remnants from
It's
Anthem's destruction
it's a
of
world,
the
yeah, it's a
multiverse.
world. It's a world without will, essentially, but it is a world, right?
It is a
Um,
world. Um, I definitely want to see more about the world in between worlds, like
sure.
the world above all of the other worlds. I would
Yeah.
like to know more about that, like the Edelbert crew. I would also just really like a new world that's maybe it's gonna sound real weird, but if we got something that was like I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII, so like the steampunk mixing of fantasy genre, like I want like some of that would be really really interesting to
Mm-hmm.
see in some kind of new world. Um,
Arguably, I would think that something like that could be like what I'm talking about with like going back to the reincarnated Autoractia, right? Because it was just like a world where technology was allowed to thrive, but it was also a world of magic without fear of the corruption and all of the terror that was the lives that these people have faced. So like when you give them that environment to flourish and like Machina doesn't have to go super depresso mode because Mariabella doesn't die. Like what happens, right? What kind of things come out of that? Mike, what about you? What world would you want to see explored more?
It's literally just the world of the seventh. I just want to see more of that,
The demon world.
honestly.
The demon world. Yeah.
Yeah.
more Demon World.
It's just like highest right up on there on my list.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot
Not
of
gonna
cool.
lie though, like I want Valhalla with the same flavor as like early Force of Will. I want that vibe,
Sure.
that like old Nordic feel, like but in Valhalla again. Like
Sure.
none of this like
Dual
we're destroying
cluster.
everything and we're
Yeah.
gonna have a battle of gods and so, I don't care. I want like a new Valhalla. New.
It's not a world, but I want to know what's happening with Typhon. Typhon and Zeus still fighting it out. Trapped in the
Infinitely.
Typhonomachy, infinitely, just hanging out. Honestly, I'm surprised we never got how the reform characters in Saga 3 react to Perseus, Charlotte, and Faria and stuff, knowing them. Um, yeah, again, when they like go to. So, Saga 1 and Saga 2 are the books that Kaguya gives to Faria to get her up to speed, to then send them to the demonic world. And then they partner up with Wolfgang to kill all of the supposedly kill Stan and all of the fallen angels, but then Dante takes over and then they like chase Dante to the game of gods essentially, which is what happens with the seventh. Um what's the fourth set of that cluster called?
Seventh.
Is the seventh the
It's
fourth
Assault
set?
into the Demonic World.
Assault
And
into the
then the
demonic world
seventh
and
is
then the seventh. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
the best Force of Will set of all time. Assault into the Demonic World.
I don't really know if that's true, but okay.
It
That's
gave it gave Best Mermaid.
It did give Best Mermaid.
It gave us so many cool rulers.
That's
Just
true.
so many cool rulers.
Agreed. And a sword.
And a sword. And a sword.
I'll
Atomic
say
fusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of cool stuff. Is the battle with Ragnarok the oldest thing in timeline? It predates MSW and predated Grim Cluster. I think the oldest thing in the cluster is technically the original Valhalla stuff. In the a timeline, in terms of the Grim timeline, if we're talking like ignoring Valhalla, then the stuff, then technically the oldest set in the entire history of it is in fact Epic of the Dragon Lord. EDL is the like oldest thing, because that is so far back in time. It's before Oborozuki becomes a vampire. It's all of that stuff, and the world of EDL is Grimm's world just thousands upon thousands of years in the past. So yes, I guess. MOA was the best set with the best rulers. Oh boy, that's a choice.
Duga is a ruler. Let's go.
That's a choice. Saga 1, if I recall, takes place 10,000 years before Grim 1. Yeah. Super long time ago. Yeah. I think the battle with Ragnarok is technically the oldest thing. Because
Too
even
soon.
too soon.
Too soon.
Saga 2 is 1,000 years before, which is why Welser in set 2
Hey,
is such an
Dean,
old
that
man.
you?
Can't have
Hey,
bad
Dean's in the chat.
can't have bad rulers if you have no rulers. I guess that's true. You can't have a bad one if there's none of them. Think. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, keep the questions coming. We got a few minutes left. It's been good. Trying to see if there's any other ones in the chats from the other areas. I haven't seen anyone.
Jeremy, how many super chats would it take for you to cosplay as your gloves?
Infinite.
Uh,
Not happening.
All right.
All right.
We
Everyone,
got to
you heard it
create
here
a
first.
Typhonomachy in the chat so that Jeremy has to dress as the gloves.
I'm already
and
working on
fight
a Bianchi
for
cosplay.
gloves.
There's the box full of all the stuff. I'm working on one cosplay already.
And all you have to do for the gloves cosplay is just a black morph suit, the eyes, the mouth, and the horns. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not. You're not.
There you go.
There I am. Let's see. Oh, I guess we can talk about kind of some housekeeping of what's coming this week. Paul is going
I don't know any of that.
Paul is going to finish uploading the 2 deck profile videos that he has for me.
Yep.
So that we can get
Right here on
those.
my desktop.
Yeah, there you go. Feature match this week is between Alex Solo Stun with the new extension rule and Gnome. Turbo Ramp Gnome. We are starting our exploration into the ABC rulers now that we've hit the main set rulers, starting with Gnome. Paul is covering Undine. I have been covering Aristella, and I'm working on covering Garmheld. And then Paul will have our Daimyo boy as well, so we'll get those to you. This week we're working on recording our collaboration video with MCole40, Ryan F. and Miles, and Red Zone Rogue for ABC decks. So I'm excited to get that recorded and edited. That collab is coming soon. You can go watch our Casey Madden's, our guest lecturer member Casey Madden's Alice Origins feature match that he commentated. We posted that today. You can go watch that. That's just a fun bonus video too. As a reminder, if you guys are members, we're trying to upload at least kind of one match of some kind a week with like POV view and live audio to members only every single week. So if you want a little bit more feature match stuff, see what we're kind of practicing with, experimenting with, testing around, you can go check that out as a member. So we encourage you to do that. Let's see. I'm going to go through here. Which character in MP02 would I give an sub-rulers or XRs to? I want one for Lilius Petal that lets him not have to call stones. Or not have to tap to call stones. Like, I would love for that to be something that like a sub-ruler that for him can call stones for him. Right? And do other stuff too. But like that he can use that to call stones instead. I think that would be great for him. So that, or that like counts as one of the 2, or like one of the 3 pieces of the sacrifice, right? I think a cool sub-ruler for Lilius would be a sub-ruler that lets, like, it can essentially replace a third of the cost of Lilius Petal, right? So if you have a Killing Stone and a Wind Resonator, you could sack them and still make a Chimera. Or if you have a Darkness Resonator and a Killing Stone, you can still get a Chimera. Or if you just have a Wind Resonator and a Darkness Resonator, you could get a Chimera. Like, cut down his cost by like a third. I think that would be kind of cool for Lilia's Petal. That's just me blathering there. Fury of the Elements X Force of Will. We are going to be doing a potential little partnership giveaway thing with Fury of the Elements here. We're going to do like a little deck challenge giveaway kind of thing. We'll talk more about details about that soon. So excited to get back into the game. So excited to have you back into the game, Strith. These good stuff. Lilia's Petal never calling stones a true nemesis. Subrulers say can't tap for stone, would have to be a rag stone. Right. That's what I mean. Like the rag ability would make it so that he doesn't have to call stone or something. Sacred Spirit Subruler. That would be fine. Yeah, for sure. Cool stuff. So yeah, cool stuff coming out this week, in the coming weeks, as we get ready for spoiler season. Probably going to happen within the next couple weeks. Again, go check out the link in the description to go get your tickets for Force of Will Festival. If we run out of the high tier elements, I guess I'll talk through what each level gives, kind of as a last thing here. So it's Force of Will Festival and GP. So we are and a GP. The base ticket entry is $50, gets you entrance into the main event, all of the participation GP promos, a Force of Will 2025 custom foil will coin, a Ruler School custom die, 4 bonus promos of your choice from our on-site catalog, a random ticket for giveaways, and a random playmat. This will be old GP playmats, pre-release playmats from Throughout House history, whatever. So that's what you get for the $50 ticket entry. 75 mid-tier entry. There are currently 79 of these remaining, only 80 total. You get all of the stuff from the first one. You get 2 raffle tickets for the giveaways instead of just 1. You get a free side event, entry into 1 free side event over the course of the weekend, and you get a random high-end promo. This could be a Judge promo or an Uber Ascended Ruler or all kinds of cool stuff that I have there. And then all the way up to the high tier entry, which at this point in time has a limited number left. I think we have 27 tickets left for that. It's $100. You get all the stuff I mentioned before. You get a set of one of each of the 5 DBV Uber rulers. So that's Zeus Alice, Athenia, Perfect Loki, Kaguya, and Nyarlathotep. 2 bonus surprise promos. A high-end promo of your choice, and then a random Force of Will deck box and pack of sleeves included, all for $100. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think that's kind of the entry to go for. I think I've made it well worth. I think I did the math that the DBV promos alone are over $100. So, like, there you go. I think that should be worth your time. So you can check all that out on the website. And good stuff coming. Spoilers soon. I'm very excited to start talking about that. And thank you all so much for joining us. So until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I'm joined, as always, by Mike Rance.
We've never really had a full set of Forceful Pirates. We really are overdue.
Yeah. And Paul Reisman.
I'm going to be casting my wind magic so my sails be flowing through the open oceans, where I counter all the mermaids, and they all say, "Hey, stop speeding."
Class dismissed, everybody. Have a good night.